All right, so we're getting close to the finish line here. 999 and 44 out of 100. Let's jump into that lyrically and then musically.
So lyrically, that track kind of so for this record, I guess a little bit more context. For this record, this isn't a concept record. There's not one solid concept that follows throughout the record. However, there are smaller concepts, sub-concepts that kind of pervade throughout. I've always been a big fan of records like Downward Spiral by Nine Inch Nails because they weren't exactly concept albums. They were, though, conceptually all created in a very similar place. So while you can listen to the whole record and it sounds great as a whole, you could also listen to it singly and it sounds great where it is too. It doesn't need bigger concept or bigger context in order to make sense. And so 99 and 44 out of 100 is basically the second part in a trilogy of Nietzsche is Dead, this one, and then the last track that follow its own concept, but doesn't exactly deviate from where the record's going already. So with that said, this one is definitely very different in the way it's written because it's not written with an exact theme. It's more written emotionally. The song includes a lot of numerology, especially a lot of different pervasive elements of utilizing angel numbers and demon numbers, and it also utilizes golden ratios and things that I thought were very interesting. I've always been very into numerology, and I've always looked up to how Crowley uses numerology in his work and how he would use it to manipulate an audience to feel a certain way, and that's certainly at play here. And all of the numbers in this are done on purpose. The numbers in the title are done on purpose. It's all existing for a reason, if that makes sense. And I would never want to rob anyone listening to this, or even you yourself, of figuring that out by telling you what it is. You know
Sure.
what I mean?
No, of course.
So,
yeah. And I like, I'm, as you can tell, very respectful of that. I think there's a nice balance between, I don't want to talk about this song and giving too much of it away. I think it's important to preserve some mystique and some interpretation, leaving that up for people. I would say, I love that you're saying that there is a specific intentionality behind each number name checked in the title and in the song, because I feel like in the genre, especially, and not to take anything away from other artists who do this, but I feel like when there are numbers in song titles, album titles, they're arbitrary. There's no real point behind it. It just sounds cool.
Different fun facts that I think probably fit into a thing like this. So the title of it is a reference to Willy Wonka. This is his the code that he uses to get into the main room. So there's that, which is, I guess, awesome. a little bit harder to get. And then the numbers that are actually being spoken in the song itself are all from a Rudyard Kipling spoken word called Boots. And the reason why I chose that is because when my little brother was in SEER training, they used that recording to torture him and keep him up all night without sleeping for days on end. And I found it really spooky when he would tell the story about it. And I thought that the song, or the spoken word, was very powerful and moving. And it when I listened to it with him a couple of years ago, he started to cry, and I listened to it myself, and I felt deep existential dread that I've never felt in my life. And so I thought if there was ever something that utilizes the power in numerology, it is this spoken word. So that's the clip. That's not the song, but yeah,
and that is utterly fascinating and a nice little invitation to dive deeper. Okay, so and let's talk about that song musically.
So musically, so like with Love's Labor Lost, it's an electronic track, and when we were talking about all of this, in how he wanted to do the interludes. As I mentioned earlier, we all listen to a lot of dark wave and post-punk and things like that. And Tyler wrote Love's Labor's Lost, and then I wrote the other two on the record, including this one. And originally the leads were a little bit different. I didn't really have a general idea of how I wanted it to sound. But then after hearing the pre-production songs and really just listening to it, I was like, okay, we can work these in with some of these songs kind of as, musically as, intros or, outros to, X or Y song. And, I'm just a big fan of, steady kind of marching, undulating, like synth, where you just kind of want to just,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's basically how this song came to be. I was just sitting at my computer and I was, doing programming and composing it. And I was just like, I want this to feel like you're, going through a tunnel with flashing lights and you're at a steady pace and you're not stopping.
That's awesome. I love, and it's great too for, again, this kind of genre, that you can transpose that because, metal, hardcore, punk, it's all very rhythmic and very urgent feeling. And I think people who aren't into synth-driven music or electronic music don't necessarily understand that they share that commonality. So there's there's a real symbiosis that's possible there.
Absolutely.